Do you like plants? Do you like planting seeds? And maybe when the springtime comes, if you're in a cold climate like I am up here in Canada, you can't wait for the time when you can start planting your seeds indoors and then eventually plant them outside. And sometimes I would plant them way too early. It would be February, there's a big snowstorm, and I just can't wait to get the seeds planted. And so I would plant them too early. And what would happen is they would get tall and spindly and they'd start to fall over. And I'm glad this year I was more patient. I did not start the seeds too early. And now it's starting to warm up. We're probably not going to have any more snowstorms, and these aren't too tall. The other thing is we moved into a place that has more windows, and so the light also helps them not go too tall and spindly and start to fall over because there's enough light for them. So we need patience when we want to start seeds indoors, and we also need patience when we're losing weight. So we have to be patient when we're wanting our seeds to grow. We can't just wish that this has tomatoes on it already. Why isn't the plant producing tomatoes? We have to be patient, and this has been growing for probably 3 to 4 weeks now. These are going to be the small cherry tomatoes. So we have to be patient. I can't put these out right yet. So up here in Canada, we have a date when they pretty much anticipate there won't be any more frost. So you can plant the plants out that are very susceptible to frost and to cold. If I planted this out right now and it frosts tonight, it would kill it. The plant would die. And so I can't do that. So I have to be patient. I have to wait for that date. And so being patient with our weight loss, waiting for our body to use up the extra stored meals. We have a lot of extra stored meals on our body. I actually talk about this in my course. And I figured out that 80 pounds overweight, I had almost 400 extra meals stored on my body. And I couldn't just stop eating. I had to eat every single day, but I just ate less, or I ate a lot of food once or a lot of food twice in the day, 2 big meals, a main meal is the way we'd say it, not breakfast. I gave up eating breakfast, and that helped with the intermittent fasting. But in order to get used to having less food in my body, because I had 400 meals to use up, they were stored. I had pre-eaten them. They were on my body. I'd eaten them ahead of time in that way. I didn't think about that when I was 80 pounds overweight, but as I realized that, oh yeah, I pre-ate this food. I don't have to eat 400 meals. And of course, it took time for me to lose that weight, to use up that energy. In some ways, the body is extracting the energy, taking it out of those fat cells, using it up. And so that takes time. Waiting is a big part of weight loss. There's a lot about the weight loss that is waiting, that is figuring out what to do in the meantime, that is being patient, finding ways to make it fun, all of those different things to make you get through, to make you wait for the tomato plant to have its tomato. Long-term weight loss and weight loss that lasts in terms of the fact that you can maintain it, speeding it up is not going to help because you're not changing your lifestyle. And I learned that after so many decades, so many different diets that I'd been on. And I tried to speed it up. I tried to make it go quicker, because I just was so sick of being overweight or so sick of being obese. And I tried to speed it up, tried to do something quick, and it never worked because I didn't change my lifestyle. It takes time to change your lifestyle. It takes time to adjust, to figure out which habits are sabotaging you and find ways around it. And I had to combine dozens and dozens and dozens of things to make it work. That is one message that I want to get across as much as possible to you, is it's not one thing. That is what will make it fail, because if that one thing fails, if that one thing doesn't work, you'll throw the whole thing out. That's what I did. If I tried a diet and it was do this one thing or try this one thing or eat this one thing, and then if I got tired of it, got bored of it, or I wasn't able to sustain it, I threw the whole diet out. And then I was right back to square one. I gained the weight back over and over and over again. It's not one thing, it's multiple things. And then if one thing doesn't work, you pull another thing in. This is what is making me able to maintain the 80 pounds weight loss. I'm able to maintain the weight loss because if something doesn't work, because I'm still tweaking it. I'm still figuring it out. I mean, 50 years, over 50 years of doing things and all of those habits, I'm still trying to learn how to maintain the weight. It's not a clean process. It's messy. It's complicated. In my course, I talk about how I gained 5 pounds at Christmas because I brought baking back into my life. I brought that back in and I gained 5 pounds. So I'm around a size 6. That size 6 clothing fits loosely, or it fits perfectly, or it's too tight, within around a 10-pound range. And since I lost the 80 pounds, I go up and down by around 5 to 7 pounds. And so my clothes are either loose, or they fit perfectly, or they're a little bit tight. I don't have any clothes that are bigger than that except for my really big clothes. I kept those over 210 pounds. I kept those clothes, but I don't have any in the middle range, so that I'm not tempted to say, oh yeah, well, I can just put those jeans on because they're looser. And then, because that's what happened in the past, I kept a bunch of clothes in many different ranges. Nope, I didn't do that this time. I threw away or gave away all those clothes in the middle range, donated them all. So when I'm trying to stay at this maintenance level, a lot of people don't talk about this. People talk about losing weight, how to lose weight. Here's a diet. Very few people talk about maintaining it. I'm pulling the curtain back. It is a challenge to maintain the weight, but it's not impossible, and it's not any harder. It's actually way easier. It's way easier than losing the weight. It's still tweaking it though. It's still trying to figure out what works. And I brought the baking back at Christmas, and I gained those 5 pounds because I think Christmas Day I had cake 4 times. Like I really become addicted again. I don't know how to, I don't like the word addiction. I feel that if chocolate is in the house and I've baked with chocolate and it's something that tastes really good and reminds me of good times in the past, and I get that dopamine kick, I really find it hard to stop. And I was not able to stop. So yeah, I had cake 4 times on Christmas Day. So I realized, okay, it still brings back habits. It brings back memories. I can't erase my brain, from the last 50 years. It's still coming along with me. So I have to figure out ways. So for me, I decided, even though I hate the word eliminate, I'm going to try to replace the chocolate with something else. And so I'm learning to like vanilla stuff, whereas I would never like vanilla ice cream in the past or that kind of a thing. So I'm giving up chocolate for 365 days because I really can't stop once it's around. So that for me, even though I'd lost the weight, even though I'm maintaining it, I can still become addicted again if the chocolate is in the house and I've baked with it. So brownies, chocolate chip cookies, but yeah, I made a checkerboard cake. Oh my goodness, it was so good. White chocolate mousse checkerboard. So white chocolate mousse. Anyways, I don't even want to go into it. It's so good. So I don't want to eliminate anything. And that's why I have the 2-bite rule. I talk about this in my course, the 2-bite rule, where the first bite is always the best, tastes the best. The first taste of anything on your tongue, just, your head explodes with the amazing taste that it has. The second bite is good, but not as good as the first one. And the third bite and onward, things don't taste as good. So I learned while I was losing the weight, and it worked really well, to just have those 2 bites at the end of a meal of anything that I wanted, so that nothing was off limits. And of course, based on food allergies or food sensitivities. But for me, I just said, I'm going to allow myself to have anything. And that was one way to not feel deprived. And I didn't overeat, having 2 bites of a cake. Now, I had full pieces of cake 4 times at Christmas. Anyways, I did not follow my rule and I gained the weight. So 2 bites, you're not going to gain weight on 2 bites of anything. Even if it was straight sugar, you're not going to gain weight on that. If it's at the end of the meal, it's not spiking your blood sugar, insulin. When it's part of the meal and you've got protein and vegetables in your stomach already, and you add in these 2 bites of chocolate or 2 bites of candy or 2 bites of ice cream, it's not going to spike anything too much. It's fine. Your body can handle it at that point in time. I'm covering a lot of topics here. Going back to patience. So let's think about patience related to a delicious dessert. So instead of saying, okay, I'm going to have a whole piece. No, I'm going to have 2 bites today, and I'm going to have 2 bites tomorrow, and I'm going to have 2 bites the next day. And I'm going to, maybe bring home a piece of cake, and I'm going to make it last 3, 4, 5 days and just have 2 bites. Well, you're being patient by doing that. And if we're mindful and we take that bite and we enjoy it. We don't just scarf it in, you know, or we don't eat in secret. I've eaten a lot of food in secret over the years because I didn't want anybody to know that I was eating a lot of it. And whatever I ate in secret never tasted very good either. People can see that I'm eating any food, but I'm still able to be losing the weight or maintaining the weight loss because it's only 2 bites of that food. And the majority of your meal, 90% of your food, is the one ingredient food, the low carb food. You'll have so much more success in losing the weight and maintaining it. And so just enjoying those 2 bites, being patient, waiting till the next day, having another 2 bites, and really enjoying the first bite the most and then the second bite, and saying, yeah, I don't have to eliminate these foods. I can still keep them part of my diet. That's really what helped me to not say, no, I can never have chocolate ever again, or I can never have ice cream ever again, and never have cookies, never have bread, never have cake. No, all of it's allowed. It's just, when are you eating it and how much are you eating it? Basically, when I'm out at a restaurant, I take all the rules off. There's no rules. I did that while I was losing the weight. I was still able to lose the weight. When I went out for a hamburger, I had the bun. Actually, no, there was about 3 months when I was really figuring out low carb. It was really hard to resist eating too much bread. Bread was a really hard thing for me to give up. So I think at that point I would try the lettuce wrap. But that's so messy. I hate having hamburgers inside a lettuce wrap. It's just messy. Everything comes out. So I realized, okay, I'll just have the bottom bun. And that worked quite well too. And then now, as I maintain the weight loss, I can have the full bun. I'm not tempted because I come home and there's no more buns in the house. So if I go out for a hamburger, I can have the bun because it's out of the house. So that's worked really well for me. I don't crave bread anymore. And I used to crave bread. I used to have bread all the time, every day, at least once or twice. And so I don't crave bread anymore. It's just not part of my life. I've weaned off having breakfast, and breakfast was a huge part of my life. Back to plants, back to being patient. So when we can learn to be patient, waiting for the next day when I can have 2 more bites, you will start to not crave those things as much because they're just not as big a part of your life. You're going to fill your life up with a lot of other things, maybe gardening, maybe many different types of hobbies. And I talk about this in my weight loss course, finding things to do in the meantime when you're either tempted to snack. There's sort of 2 things. In general, as you are losing the weight and you're eating less and you're spending less time in the kitchen, you're going to have more free time. And what are you going to fill that free time up with? And then also, in the micro version of that, is what to do when you're tempted to snack for those 10 or 15 minutes when you used to snack, even 5 minutes, finding other things to do, those snack alternatives. Growing seedlings, growing plants might be one of those things that you want to do and spend a little bit of time on every day. And that can help have another thing that you can do besides food, besides what you used to do in the past, which was focus on food, think about food, eat food, cook food, and it just filled up a lot of your day. Now, people who are cooks, they have a bit more challenge because there's food around them all the time. I used to be a cook. I went to cook's college. And so it really has been a challenge to have food as less important in my life. Now, I'm not a cook. I don't work at a restaurant anymore, but I know what that was like to work in a restaurant as a cook and you're just surrounded by food. So those people definitely have more of a challenge, but I believe it's doable. You just have to figure out what's going to work for you. I'm cheering you on. And I really believe that almost everybody can lose weight and maintain the weight loss. I created a course based on my losing 80 pounds, and I was able to keep the weight off after 40 years of doing something and then actually getting different results. So I wrote a book about it, and I wrote 2 workbooks. And now I have this course, and I can't wait to share everything that I learned that made it work, that made it stick, that made it not be another yo-yo diet. There's 12 modules, there's 36 lessons, a total of 45 videos. It's almost 12 hours of videos. And I have a 2.5-hour cooking class in the middle of the course, and then the 18 bonuses. And it's everything from charts, checklists, challenges, journals, schedules. And I'm really excited to share all of these with you because these are what makes it work. These are the practical things that after you've watched the course, and then it's like, what do I do? When you have all of these tools, these are practical things that are going to help you on that journey. And this journey could take 6 months, 12 months, a year and a half, 2 years, depending on how much weight you have to lose. So you need tools, you need things to help you on that journey. Thank you so much for watching this. So I hope to see you in the course.